I would like to say that I'm satisfied as a psychologist that during two previous days we talked a lot about the psychological aspects of peace, and today we'll continue to do it. So my topic is more about psychological, social psychological issue, and more about political one. So collective sense of ownership and international tensions. My research just now is about sense of ownership, psychological sense of ownership. It's really wide topic, and we can describe a lot of things, but today I will present only part of this investigation, how sense of psychological... Yeah, you're welcome. Join us. So, first of all, what does it sense of ownership mean? This concept of psychological ownership was described by peers, and it means we can feel like we own it. It's not only about money, not only about things we have, not about our territory, but also about our body, about our feeling, our ideas and values, also about our social context and our belonging to some social groups and so forth. And according to these targets, we probably feel something. I think if you ask, you will understand this here. So, and the first task for you is define, probably write in your papers, from 5 to 10 points, what do you feel is mine, or what do you feel as yours, ours, yeah? Mine and ours. From 5 to 10 points, what's mine, and from 5 to 10 points, what's ours. So, my car, my family, my gadget, for example, my work, and ours. Other examples.
Yeah, that's how space.
Can you describe why you mentioned in this list? You can share.
It's collective.
It's collective. Well, what else? Yeah.
I think our system, our norms, because I think it's something that is made by humans, that is not just made by one person, and that is shared.
Well, what else?
You have to share it, even if you don't want.
Well, that's all, yeah. So when we describe the psychological ownership generally, we as usual can talk different targets of this one, and is this only some of the examples. It's your own things, territory, it's money, body, it's probably your ideas and your values, it may be a social context, informational space, working place, probably your institution and so on. But today we'll talk more about the nation and about the country, how things are connected. So this is useful for explain the phenomenon of psychological ownership. You will see different levels and different parts of this phenomenon. First of all, it's involvement of people in this phenomenon and possibility to use in this one if you need. First of all, it conducive to power and control due to knowledge, due to self-investment, yet self-efficacy, self-identity, and perceived usefulness, first of all. It's general scheme not only for collective sense of ownership, but for private one too. But it's too important that it's mentioned, it can be manifested as responsibility and territoriality. So, we discussed that collective psychological ownership, first of all, connect with our feeling as ours. What emerges through interactive dynamics, Individuals come to a single and shared mindset is related to a sense of ownership for particular different targets. So, and when we talk about psychological ownership, first of all, we talk about the forming of identity, national identity, and as you know, national identity is a part of social identity. But there are some differences in two phenomena. First of all, they are distinguished according to the question we asked, and of course answer this question. First of all, when we talk about social identity, we ask who we are. When we talk about the psychological ownership, we ask what do we feel in ours, so what do we own. So the next one is motivational base. Is it attraction and affiliation, or versus efficacy and efficiency and self and social identity and our place of reality? So the next one is conceptual core, and in this case we can talk about identity or symbolization versus possessiveness. One. Also, we continue to talk about the targets of construct. So the group identity per object material, it may be not material, touchable or untouchable, but we can own it also. As another example is a companion rights and associated responsibility. So let's continue. So, the first question we asked, do we need to strengthen sense of ownership, how it exists and appears in our life, and how it may be influenced on our national identity. Imagine that we have some sense of ownership according to our nation, according to our country, and we have some feeling. But it's like the health. We cannot describe what is health, why we are not ill. But when we have some problems with our health, we can understand what's to be health and what to be ill, sick, for example. Or as you remind a little child, if he or she has some favorite toy, for example, and it's normal situation that he has this toy, but if somebody wants to take his toy without their permission, so this kind of start to be aggressive and to try to solve and to save this toy, for example. So it's perceived like dangerous and threat for them, and so she tried to save this one. So in this case, where the forming of sense of ownership and strengthening the sense of ownership according to nation too. So firstly, it's form of national identity. When we have some or feel some dangerous or feel some threat according to it, we try to do something, and we try to change the situation. We try to understand the tension of the loss ownership and their national identity. So, and it should be lead to strengthening the ownership to your nation, or probably to weaker part. So, and we should understand that we have strong sense of ownership according to your nation. You should join in some really strong group and to make your in and out group. Yeah? You know that the theory of social identity theory was made by Anton. I hope you know this theory. So it's described the discrimination in favor of in-group and in opposition to out. You know that we belong to some nation group, for example, according to your national identity, we perceive this as our in-group. We are more favorable to this group, and we want to connect with people like we. So, and opposition to our group, probably in other nations, we can perceive like our group. And we can make such situation when we united with other groups, with the other people in our group, but we are separate with people from another group. And it's only strengthening the opposition, aggressive relations, and probably conflict between these people. So, and the next issue we will discuss just now, I will ask you to join in triples, I think, it will be better. So, and everybody should remind yourself the situation when you felt your national identity particularly acute, and you should discuss your experience according to the next question. So, what was the process of such an acute experience? What have you felt in this situation? What threat did you feel for your national identity? And what did you do for overcome this situation or your feelings, for example, if you can't change this situation? But during such triples that all partners or participants go with different nationalities. For example, Ukrainians were the Norwegian one, and I don't know, I like example with Georgian ones.
Of my national identity. You know, in Ukraine we have Ukrainian and Russian-speaking people, but we do not identify ourselves, most of us, as Russian citizens. So, like in Russian language, it's Ruski means Russian-speaking, but not Россияне means Russian citizen. And when you live in Odessa, you are Russian-speaking, and definitely people may mock you sometimes, or just have a notion that you are not purely Ukrainian, and for Russians, they also don't have the same identification with you. So we remain partly separated, and we mostly identify ourselves, like Odessans, as the people of our city. Because some pillars of national identity are crumbling for us, and we may not have the same commitment to change the history, to rethink the past as people of Western Ukraine, and we don't have the same commitment to be in alliance with Russia as the Eastern Ukrainians, some of them, from the past. So this is the problem. We seek unity, and we think that such things like language should not determine the treatment of people towards you. That's the point.
Okay. Once the question was specified, your regional identity as a city, is stronger and more important for you than national identity or not?
Yes, definitely.
So as I understood, the threat you felt is the language or using language in other language, not governmental one. Yeah.
The language you use determines the treatment towards you. So, if you use Russian, some people can associate you with traitor, but it's ridiculous. For us, some people may think in a different way, and still it plays a significant role. So when you have been speaking this language for your entire life, and suddenly it becomes, for some reason, undesirable to do this, you definitely cannot associate you so much with this place as you used to do before.
And so, what did you do for overcome this situation? Probably you're feeling negative feeling this situation that you mentioned.
Could you repeat?
What did you do for overcome this negative feeling for you? Probably change the situation, if it's possible.
As I often contact with people from different parts of Ukraine, we often engage in dialogue, and I try to bring this point of view that we still are patriots of our own country, and that language doesn't determine our national identity and our sense of sovereignty, our sense of national unity. So like some of them are definitely wondered to hear my answers, to hear my statements, and they definitely change their opinions about like Russian speaking.
And so, what about your social identity or national identity in this situation? Became it weak or not, or stronger?
So
So
social,
your national identity, for example,
like
or the regional one.
so like with solidifying my regional identity, my social identity is also solidified. So I think I associate myself with some communities more than I used to because I didn't have a need.
Thanks. Probably somebody else.
Okay. I don't think I think that threatens my national identity. Threatens the Russians, of course, because if a person is kind of accurate or can be particularly identified to the nation, nothing can threaten its identity. You may be it's maybe arguable, but we can argue. Is when I travel or when I have some seminars or kind of stuff, and people say it's the part of ignorance, of course, that you come from Georgia. Georgia is the part of Russia, or you speak Russian, right? Or you have the same culture and kind of stuff. It's awful. It's terrible because go and read or Google or this is the worst thing that can ever happen in the nation or never happened to a person. That is being occupied every day. That is the that experiences creeping occupation, and then someone kind of, I'm sorry, but ignorant, tells you that you are the part of the nation or of the nation who constantly occupies you or steals your territories or kind of stuff. This is, I think, the thing that threatens my national identities every time.
Thanks. Probably more. Yeah.
Well, I probably don't need a microphone either. Well, it becomes Ukrainians and Georgians now, but I'll speak for the team that we had here for us. So Norwegian, German, and 2 Ukrainians. Interestingly enough, to continue with the Ukrainian-Georgian pattern here, I would say that in Ukraine we definitely have some divisions in terms of diversification of people, how the people feel about their country and what we're going through in the last 5 years. Even in our group, for instance, I said right away that the Russian aggression is a main threat to the country, to myself, to my identity. I still feel this way. It's probably not that acute as it was 5 years ago, when I was wondering where they would go, the aggression, if I would have to leave my own town and go somewhere else and run. But so now we kind of passed those fears, but it's still there, and I'm very much my identity, my own identity, and identity of a lot of people around me shaped by this event. So I think that whenever, in my view, for instance, whenever that threat is over, aggression is over, and we are kind of left alone, if that ever happens, because of course never Russia will just fully leave us alone. Then we would be able to talk about other threats to our country and identity and so on. But in our group here, Valeria, for instance, said that she actually felt kind of different main kind of experience with a threat. When the aggression happened, she saw a post on Facebook where the author said, all Russians are bad and we should just kill all Russians and eradicate Russians. And there were a lot of people who said, I like this post. So that's how she felt that was disgusting, that it was really a negative experience and a bad thing, and that's not how you should be. So yeah, it brings us back to what Maxim said. In Ukraine, for instance, you definitely have a lot of people who are not ethnic Ukrainians, let alone who speak Russian, but can be patriotic or supportive of their own country. But what do you do with them? I mean, are they all traitors? Just because another country where you have Russian official language is national language attacks us, does it mean that they're all bad? So it's a good question, and we're still, as you know, Iryna yourself, we're still trying to resolve this. So with Benjamin and Christine here, they actually coming from two different countries, but they had the same negative experience with upsurge of negative sentiment in their countries in respect to the incoming migrants from Middle East and other countries, primarily ICU, but you know about the crisis. So when they saw the huge wave of xenophobia, not huge, but noticeable wave of xenophobia, and some people speaking about against those migrants and the need to help them, and kind of mobilized on this basis, political basis against the migrants, and basically took this extreme right views and so on. So that's when they actually felt that they are something wrong in their country, that their national identity should be better than that. That's not what kind of Germany or Norway they associate themselves with and work to have in place. Am I more or less conveying it in the right way? So to them, it's still there. The crisis and this debate about this immigration crisis, migration crisis, is still there. So therefore, the threat is still there as well, and they still feel that their most acute negative experience of the last years is connected to that experience. Thank you.
I find the term highly problematic because it's politicized, and I think just that group discussion shows how politicized that term is, and it doesn't help so much because it also blends an identity of interests with other aspects in life that have nothing to do. For me, if someone asks me how my identity is threatened, I would say it cannot be threatened. That goes into the similar direction that you only mentioned, because it's my identity. No one can take it from me. It can be suppressed, of course. That's something else than threatening it directly. But I think it's problematic to emphasize that, because in most countries in Europe that I observe, when they talk about identities, identity politics at the moment, national identities, it is going into the nationalist right-wing direction. It's being used for us against them. And by reinforcing it, I think that's also, even if you don't want to support or contribute to the polarization, you indirectly do that. That's why I find it highly problematic to talk about.
So what is the counterpoint to national identity there? Civic identity maybe?
Or just identity?
Just identity.
To understand our national identity, how can we do according to our national, regional, international identities, values in our direction of the future development, so on. So, and I found like 3 international national attention. You may agree with them, probably not, probably you will continue this list. So firstly, it's increasing international aggression. If we'll reinforce our national identity and improve solidarity, probably we will be stronger, and our psychological borders will be less plastic like this, and we are not we will be not friendly to other groups, to other nationalities. So the next one is blurring of the borders of the national group. Also, we talk about the psychological borders. And as a variant, it's interdependence of different national groups. So, and some questions for discussing probably now, probably in future. If we understand that the stronger the international group favoritism, the stronger and more resilient and psychological boundaries of this group, and the high level of non-acceptance of members of the other group. So, can civic identity be formed in this situation? And if national ethnic group are in confrontation, can we make this civil identity in one country, for example? Can civic identity be formed in national, probably ethnic group are in confrontation in one country?
On Well, basically, I think it's possible, and that's how it is working now in Europe with, for example, European Union. So they tried to focus on politics and it failed. So basically, they started with economy. That everybody wants to have a decent salary, decent forms of life, and would like to be joined in the community of wealth and prosperity. And basically, this is more or less an example that can be transformed to the national level. And this is something that is usually talked about as the possibility for Ukraine to repatriate and bring back the Donetsk and Lugansk after Russians back to Russia. This is possible because if Ukraine itself is a wealthy state, that can bring back those citizens who are left maybe on some language issues or cultural, historical disputes. Because we all want to live this life in a good manner and with a good will. It's possible.
Okay, thanks. Any ideas? Okay.
I don't think that the European Union is currently the best example for global national identity. It's quite the opposite at the moment. I was rather thinking historically of the US, not now, but way back, because basically it was a country of migrants. And the whole salad bowl melting pot discussion went into a certain direction for quite a while. And now the whole thing is falling apart. But I mean, historically, definitely, I would say rather that. And maybe also historically in the EU, yes. At the moment, for sure not. I think it's. I mean, you can draw the line already between Germany and Austria. You can draw the lines between just by the way how national identities are being approached and the EU is being approached. If you then take the line, the border between Austria and Hungary, you take France and the UK, just continue, or Italy even. I'm not sure if the European identity is unfortunately currently the best example there.
Just very quickly, two figures. I mean, it probably doesn't really matter to the course of this discussion, but on US, I think the whole notion and concept of melting pot has been idealized a lot, because a lot of times in US history, you got plenty of racism and xenophobia as well. It was all entirely based on the need for the labor force, so that's why the new people were coming, but each new wave was accused, despised and everything, so there was a lot of that as well. So in a way, today's US is still better than what it was in the middle of the 19th century when Irish were coming, for instance, and were white slaves, for instance, and half of America was built on Irish boats and stuff like that. So that's interesting, because when we think melting pot, oh, okay, that's a successful multicultural concept, put in real life, in practice, but that wasn't anything peaceful or lovable or democratic process. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So we have enough time, so I propose to discuss the next question: how people can overcome the opposition between nations, in different nations. Probably the example with the European Union will be great. Probably some of them you will have examples. Okay.
No, but it kind of relates to parts what I'm trying to talk about tomorrow, because I'm also looking at identities but also interests, and that also goes a bit into the same direction with the European Union. I think the easiest way, not the only, but the easiest way is to identify a collective interest. If there's no collective interest, it's hard to enforce an identity. You see that quite often in politics when the Nordic countries try to work together, where they want to label it a Nordic identity, and there is a Nordic identity, but if there's no common interest, it's like a political show, but it's not really going anywhere. Whereas if you have a hard interest, for example, when I would put out NATO, at least parts of NATO, I wouldn't say the entire NATO at the moment, but definitely the core part of NATO in the beginning was definitely something of a collective interest. And that helped form the transatlantic identity, which was not really an identity as such. I wouldn't say that the transatlantic identity formed NATO, but rather the hard collective interest from that time.
Well,
Don't we move it in an upward path? Like if we're trying to go between states or nations and like through a regional vision. And we do it, for example, in maybe toward an enemy or a them. So are we creating bigger identities of big groups?
Okay, problem? No. So, as a conclusion, probably of your discussion and whole presentation, we should form our national identity. We should say it, of course, according to the national symbols of our languages, but we should reinforce collective justice, first of all, according to other nationalities and probably united in different unions, probably European unions. I think it's really a discussive issue, and we should continue on this one. But just now I should finish my presentation. If you have any question, probably you will ask me. Probably we'll discuss it during the break.